Stop data bank! 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 All right.
Are we getting started?
We're gonna get started. Are we ready to get started? How's everyone feeling? Okay.
I'll get the live stream going.
Yeah, we thank you everyone for being here. This is the Orangetown stop of the New York Fights AI Data Centers tour that our lovely friend Senator Gonzalez is leading and going all across the state to talk to communities facing data center fights. But it is also our chance to get the Orangetown board to put a moratorium on the current application for a massive data center here in Orangetown. Exactly. And you're all here because you know the harms of data centers and you know that we need to stop them. So with that, I'm going to get us started. My name is Melissa. I'm with Food and Water Watch, an organizer here in the Hudson Valley, and I've been helping going across, you know, the Hudson Valley and CD17, the congressional district of Mike Lawler, fighting these data center proposals, all the way down here in Orangetown and all the way up in East Fishkill. And we're here for several reasons, because Food and Water Watch is a national organization fighting to stop data centers and put a national and statewide moratorium on data centers. Absolutely. And because we want to support local communities and make sure that we're not facing the harms of data centers that so many communities all across the state and here in Rockland County are already facing. And so I want to thank our co-sponsors today, Indivisible Rockland and the Data Center Crisis Coalition, for being here with us, as well as Senator Gonzalez. So tonight at 7 p.m., the Orangetown board is going to vote and have a public hearing on a moratorium on new data center applications. However, it's not going to include the existing data center application on the table right now. And so we need to tell them to put a moratorium on DataBank's application and don't exclude them.
Right.
We're also here because the Responsible Data Center Development Act, sponsored by Senator Gonzalez, would put a stop to this data center. It would put a 1-year moratorium on this data center if Governor Hochul signs it into law. And so we're all here to say, sign the bill, Hochul.
Sign the bill, Hochul.
Absolutely. All right, with that, I want to get into our speakers. And first, I'd like to bring up Dave. Dave, are you here yet?
Dave's not here yet.
Dave's not here yet.
Okay. On their way.
So I'm going to introduce Jackie to speak about why this data center proposal is so awful.
Okay.
And I'll hold your sign.
And you'll hold the sign? Great. I guess I'll hold
Hey, I'm Jackie Drexler from Valley Cottage, and I totally support Food and Water Watch's and other groups' plan to make sure Governor Hochul signs this data center ban. It's really important. So, how did we get here? We got here on a handshake. There were no documents. There was no environmental impact statement. DataBank CoreWeave wants to be allowed to expand, knowing that there are more than one environmental health reasons not to. And, by the way, did you know that Attorney Lino Schiardi serves as the IDA agency counsel, advising the board on legal matters, governance, compliance, and public benefits transactions, like IDA money and pilots from private companies who claim public benefits. Could there be a conflict of interest here? When I think of the words public benefit, I think of the things that benefit the public. Access to parks, open space land, clean water, air, and the enjoyment of living in a stress-free environment, not of living next to a data center. The clear cutting of trees and destructions of habitat lands, the loss of our great old carbon sink capture trees, wetlands, and swamps cannot be replicated once they are lost. Now, about our water. The Hackensack River feeds Lake DeForest, which feeds Lake Tapan, all of which we need as clean water as water is life. 3 communities in New Jersey depend on Lake Tapan water for their daily needs. It must be kept free from pollution such as diesel fuel, chemicals, and firefighting foam. Pollution from these things into Lake Tapan would be devastating to the water supply and to wildlife. Now about air pollution. Databank CoreWeave is fueled by fossil fuels, by diesel fuel. There are massive air conditioners on the roofs. The company trucks in diesel fuel for the massive industrial-sized diesel generators that would be used in the event of a power failure. These generators must also be routinely tested. The air pollution from diesel fuels and fumes can be very damaging. According to the American Cancer Society, health concerns about diesel exhaust relate not only to lung cancers, but potentially to many other cancers and to lung and heart diseases. Effects from air pollution also includes fetal and childhood developmental issues, premature and stillbirths, macular degeneration, and fertility disruptions. Children are especially prone to health effects. Isn't it wonderful that just steps away from Databank, there's a Little League baseball field that Databank sponsors? Are they supplying inhalers as well? Then there is the noise pollution. There are mental health effects from noise pollution, from the 24/7 noise, the constant humming, and the huge deafening noise from generator testing. There are now several national lawsuits related to noise pollution from data centers. It can be and is unbearable. This has got to stop. I appreciate that the town board and Supervisor Kenny have proposed a 6-month ban, but this ban does not include Databank CoreWeave. 6 months is not enough time for a thorough review of why and how zoning and land use laws need to change. This ban should include any and all applications in place which have not yet been permitted, including Databank CoreWeave. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. All right, one thing I really want to mention is that we just talked about, the impacts to Orangetown and Rockland County. The Rockland County Legislature passed a resolution just a few weeks ago in support of Senator Gonzalez's bill, the Responsible Data Center Development Act.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why did they do that? Because they know that the impacts of this data center is going to be felt by all of Rockland County residents. And because because Rockland County is supporting a statewide bill, I also want to acknowledge that we've had incredible support across Rockland County from our state legislators, our county legislators. Thank you to Beth Davidson, Dana Stilley. And in the legislature, we want to thank Patrick Carroll, Assemblymember Weeder, for co-sponsoring the incredible bill. And we do have Assemblymember Weeder here, if you'd like to say a few words. You're good? All right, well, thank you so much for your support in the state legislature. Next up, I would like to have Jocelyn. Okay, next up, Elizabeth, the Outreach Coordinator, Campaign Staff Director with NYPIRG. Woo!
So glad to see everybody here. My name is Elizabeth Larone with NYPIRG.
Closer to your mouth.
Right into it, okay. So this past spring, NYPIRG and our allies worked to pass the Responsible Data Center Development Act, which would put a year-long moratorium on permitting new data centers. So the state has time to study the environmental and economic impact. NYPIRG will continue to work on this issue because in order for it to become law, the governor needs to sign the bill before the end of the calendar year, and that will take public pressure. On July 14th, 2026, due to tireless advocacy from our coalition partners, NYPIRG and Governor Hochul issued an executive order placing a one-year moratorium on the permitting of hyperscale, 50 megawatts or more, data centers in New York State. The governor's move does allow the state more time to review the environmental impacts of these industrial behemoths and comes amid growing public pushback and a wave of local ordinances restricting the permitting or construction of data centers in municipalities across New York. So we commend the governor on her first in the nation hyperscale data center moratorium, and we're glad to see that the governor is listening to the loud cries of her constituents as she works to regulate the data center industry. But there is, again, still work to do, and we will continue to organize to ensure further regulations and protections for New Yorkers and work to urge the governor to sign the senator's bill that passed through the legislature. Sign the bill! Sign the bill!
Yeah.
Additionally, we will continue to work with students as well as the semester begins to submit public comments on this moratorium. We commend all of the student activists involved in our work. Thank you so much.
Thank you to NYPIRG, and thank you to all the organizations and activists all across the state that helped get this bill to the finish line in the state legislature. We now just need one more push to get it signed by Governor Hochul. So, you've heard from local residents about the impacts of this data center from partner organizations like NYPIRG, and now I want to invite another local resident, Henry, you're here, to come and speak about his thoughts on why we need to stop these data centers.
Thank you. I want to start by thanking Senator Gonzalez and their team for spearheading today's event, as well as their tireless work on the New York Fights AI Data Centers Tour. And I also want to thank Melissa Hoffman and the folks over at Food and Water Watch for graciously inviting me to speak today. I joined Food and Water Watch's fight as a volunteer against the data bank Phase 2 to protect Lake Tapan and to organize everyday people to stand up to corporate elites and to demand more from do-nothing politicians. But as I learned more about the fight against AI data centers, I realized that these centers are a perfect exemplification of the failure of our current system. A system that rewards corporate politicians for ignoring their constituents, as well as outright contempt by corporations for their consumers. The American people are demanding justice from these irresponsible technocrats for a future that was stolen from us. And I'm not being hyperbolic about that.
That's right.
AI, in its entirety, is built on theft. These companies train their AI models on data that we never consented to give them. They burden our utility bills with the cost of their facilities. They consume and pollute our water, and they bastardize generations of art and literature, bombarding us with content devoid of creativity or care. They've forced their way into every industry: healthcare, education, even law and politics, all while driving up the price of services and gutting quality. And they've ushered in an epidemic of mass layoffs and price gouging for basic necessities. One sec. Thank you. All of this that I just mentioned without providing any meaningful benefit to the communities burdened by these data centers. It's abundantly clear what they're doing. They've said it themselves. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, said it himself. Quote, "We see a future where intelligence is a utility, like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter. Their goal is debt bondage. They want us chained to ever more digital subscription services where citizens own nothing and are saddled with higher and higher fees. They want to make us serfs, tied to homes that we can never own, indentured to jobs with no benefits and no regulation, cannon fodder in feudal wars fought for the greed and pride of petty want-to-be lords, totally broken in mind and body, too tired and poor and hungry to resist, dependent on a handful of unaccountable elites to access our language, our art, and our ideas. Put simply, AI is antithetical to humanity, and their proponents are nothing short of vampires. Not only that, but many of our elected officials have forsaken their solemn mandate to protect those under their charge, instead giving these monsters free rein to rob you blind while they dismiss your outrage. They've ignored the concerns of their most vulnerable constituents, families with little children facing power shortages and constant noise and air pollution. Thank you. They've ignored the Rockland County Planning Board. Should have prepared this better. Thank you. They've ignored the Rockland County Planning Board, who rejected DataBank's project due to the strain on our power grid. They've ignored the Rockland County Legislature, who overwhelmingly support the Responsible Data Center Development Act. And they've ignored the testimony of state environmental experts who made it abundantly clear that the project would adversely affect vulnerable wildlife on Lake Tappan. I don't know about the rest of you all, but I'm fucking mad about that. So to any of you who are also angry, let's go inside and tell them. Let's tell them to institute a total data center moratorium now. Tell them to halt all new data bank construction, especially and including data bank phase 2. Tell them we need public review and accountability to the cost of our wallets and the threat to our environment that these facilities cause. And tell them they want these data centers out of Orangetown, out of Rockland County, and out of New York. Woo! Thank you again to everybody. And one last quick thing. If you're concerned, or as concerned as I am about AI surveillance like Flock, please come see me after this. I'd love to speak to you about what the Rockland County Working Families Party is doing about it. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Henry. Next up, I'd like to have CJ, who is an incredible youth organizer with Cohort Z.
Yeah, he is.
Come on up, CJ.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. My speech is going to be a little different than everyone. I want to focus on some issues other than AI that this county's been dealing with. So I'll start with this. My name is CJ and I'm 16. I came to the town hall and spoke in front of everyone a few months ago because I was tired of hearing about adults talk about our future without actually listening to the future of this nation. The community came out on that night and we were heard across the state, and I'm very grateful for the community that's supporting me. I want to make a change and pursue a future in politics. Rockland County has the most data centers in Congressional District 17, and Representative Lawler has done absolutely nothing about this. Likewise, leaders in my community have allowed the East Round Pond School District to fail to properly provide for its students, and instead of doing something about these issues, Representative Lawler has chosen to have someone who was directly involved in the systemic failure of students of color within the district in one of his ads. Students my age and younger should not have to go to school and worry about whether they will have clean water, if they will overheat in class, or if their future will be poisoned by data centers. I have had the chance to go through a local program called P-Tech. Students from around the county go to this program, with a majority from East Ramapo, which brings me to my next point. Students within that district have been without clean drinking water, air conditioning in extremely hot summers, and have been being systemically defunded by the school board for years. Unfortunately, this reality could not only remain for the students in East Ramapo, but could also be a future for students in other districts. One of the best things we can do to protect our future is to get as many people involved in our community, from young to old. We need to take a stand against these developments. We all need to get out the vote in the fall. Too many times, Rockland County has been overlooked by our elected leaders. We need the community to come out and make sure that won't happen. I am calling on all of our local elected representatives to bring awareness to these issues within East Ramapo and stop the development of data centers in Rockland County. Senator Christian Gonzalez is leading the charge on this, and we're very thankful for her leadership in this issue. Kathy Hochul, you've heard us once. Time to hear us again. Future and current voters do not want data centers in their backyard and destroying the environment.
Oh my lord.
Give it up for CJ. All right. I think Dave is here. I'd like to give him the floor. Dave from the Data Center Crisis Coalition.
Right, great. Can you hear me? I don't think I have a pretty big voice, so I'll try to do it without that. So first of all, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and my name is Dave Rosen. I am co-founder of the Bi-State Data Center Crisis Coalition. That's a mouthful, I know, of New York and New Jersey. And the data center that we're focused on actually is right next to New Jersey and in New York. And we represent all those who live in the shadow of what has been referred to as DataBank Data Center of Orangeburg. First of all, I want to thank Senator Gonzalez for coming today and for all of her advocacy. Our pleasure, and we know how hard she works and many of her colleagues works, and that this is a bipartisan issue, which is really encouraging to see people from both sides of the aisle, which these days, as we all know, is so difficult. The Responsible Data Center Development Act, which is sitting on the governor's desk, we certainly hope and encourage the governor to sign. We appreciate the fact that she put in an executive order, but we don't think it's gone far enough. And we think that the hard work that Senator Gonzalez and her colleagues did should not go unnoticed, and really that should ultimately be put into law. We think that tonight we're here to talk about a local moratorium. And Orangetown, to give the credit to the town board, they recognize that the data centers of today are not the data centers of years ago. These are huge. We just visited, we just came back from the data center, which is right on Lake Tapan, which is a major drinking reservoir, as many of you know. And this is a huge, huge building. They call it a one-story building that's basically almost 40 feet high, which by most standards is a 4, could even be a 5-story building. So these are huge industrial strength buildings. The current local moratorium, the way it's written, basicly excludes the one data center that's currently under review, which is DataBank 2. So it's hard to believe, on the one hand, we're calling this a local moratorium. On the other hand, it's sort of giving on the one hand and taking from the other. Because it's also a 6-month moratorium is the proposal, assuming it gets passed. It's 180 days. The types of complexities, the types of issues that we're dealing with, water, protecting from fire, the pollution, noise, all of the issues that you've heard about and reading about, and many of the people here are speaking about, are very complicated issues. We think this should be at least a full year. We really ask the town board to reconsider and to allow the DataBank 2 facility to be included. There is no reason that it should be excluded. They've already recognized that the current zoning rules have not kept up with the current situation with these large mega data centers, and we really ask the board to reconsider that. The other thing that we are calling on the board to do is to take into account a resolution, and that resolution should cover the egregious, in our opinion, the egregious amount of subsidies that have been given to these data centers as a group in Rockland County.
No more IDA! No more IDA!
It's just amazing. Just yesterday, an article came out that talked about data that was compiled by a group called Reinvent Albany, And specifically for Data Bank, which is the one that's under consideration here, they basically determined that $63 million of subsidies have been already awarded to Data Bank and its tenants, primary tenants. This is $63 million that could have either reduced the tax burden on Rockland County taxpayers, or could have been used for other things, like renewable energy, or for senior services, or other types of services that would have done the public some direct benefit. There's also, but that $63 million is only part of the story, because there's another tax that you and I probably don't even think about, or we do think about because it's in our pockets, which is the cost of electricity generally. The other thing that I find amazing, in the same article, the first time I've actually seen actual statistics showing how little or the data centers are paying in electric bills versus the average ratepayer. According to reInvent Albany, they estimate that you and I, as a ratepayer, pay 19 times the amount of dollars that a data center on average is paying for electricity. So to put that in perspective, say in other words, if you have a $100 bill for electricity, that means a data center, I think, is paying something like $5.20 for that same $100. It's crazy. Anyhow, we are asking them to please pass a resolution to stop that going forward and stop encouraging this ridiculous abatements. Thank you, and we'll see everybody inside.
Thank you, Dave. All right, we have one more organization, representative from Indivisible Rockland, who's going to speak. And then we'll hear from Senator Gonzalez to close us out. So, Pascal, you're over there. Come on up.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Senator Gonzalez, for coming out today. I'm just going to take a minute to talk about an area that's not in Rockland County. That's Gary, Indiana. So if you haven't already heard, and you need to hear, Gary, Indiana has been under a 2-week or so blackout. I think some places have just gotten some power restored, but not a lot of power restored. And the residents have faced, like many of us, high utility costs, and their power is not there. But 15 minutes away from Gary, Indiana, are 8 data centers that have not seen a loss in power. That is roughly the distance between where we stand and the village of Nyack, where I live and serve. It's bad enough that our neighbors around here have been experiencing crazy amounts of noise and all the other issues that have plagued being next to or near a data center. And there are other parts of this country who, have you seen when they have water shortages or they have to, hold off on using too much electricity, especially in this deadly, deadly heat that we've all been experiencing this summer. They're all around data centers. That's the common denominator of all these places. So our neighbors can't afford to deal with any more of these issues, and God forbid we have a massive power outage. There's no guarantee that the current data centers that we have are going to shut down or stop operating so that the rest of us have power to live and breathe and take care of our families.
The guarantee is the opposite.
The guarantee is the opposite. So it's pretty simple. We should be putting our neighbors and ourselves over these data centers. We should care more about our community. As someone else had cited, there are millions of dollars of tax breaks that are not being invested into our schools, into our first responders, into our roads, into building affordable housing. That's stuff that we need here in Orangetown. We don't need another data center. This is probably the most bipartisan issue I think I've heard from across the board. So I hope the planning board hears us. We've all been showing up. Everyone has been here for months and months begging them not to do this. I think that I'm glad that the town board has considered doing a data moratorium, but they need to stop the current expansion that's happening now. Yep. So thank you, Senator Gonzalez, for coming out here. We appreciate it. And everybody else, say no to this data center.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pascal. So as we've heard, all across the country, communities are facing data centers, and we also have a solution, which is to pass moratoriums at the local level, stop these data centers, and also sign this incredible statewide bill, the Responsible Data Center Development Act. Hochul needs to sign it to protect all of our communities here in New York. So I'd like to introduce Senator Gonzalez to close us out.
How are we doing, Orangeburg? Such an honor to be here. My name is State Senator Kristen Gonzalez. I'm the proud sponsor of the Responsible Data Center Development Act. And from Brooklyn in my district to Buffalo to right here in Rockland County, we are united in the fight against AI data centers. Is that right?
That's right.
Earlier today, I stood in front of the DataBank data center. And this fight matters because this facility is 20 megawatts right now, looking to go to 45 megawatts. Can we afford that right here in Rockland? Absolutely not. Our bill sets the definition of hyperscale data centers at 20 megawatts and above, unlike the executive order, unlike the other moratoriums proposed, because we know right here in places like Orangeburg, you all and we all are already living with the consequences of having a hyperscale data center. Today, I heard about noise pollution. Today, I heard about water pollution on Lake Tapan. And I heard about the immense amount of public dollars being put into the pockets of billionaire companies that want to build out these hyperscale data centers. As you heard, the DataBank's data center is already receiving $63 million in incentives, but that is only one part of the 11 projects in Rockland County that are totaling over $320 million in tax incentives. That is our money. I want to be clear. The fight against AI data centers is a fight for the baseline of what it means to have good government and dignity. It's a fight to make sure our public dollars go for public good and not for AI data centers.
That's right. That's right.
It's a fight to make sure that we have clean air, clean water, and green space that we can enjoy. And it's a fight to make sure that as everyday people, we have a seat at the table when decisions are being made. This is the baseline. This isn't radical, this isn't controversial. This is what we all deserve across New York State. And yet, every day these big tech companies are coming to lobby local governments, are coming to lobby against our bill being signed. Is that right?
No!
And somehow they are trying to drown out our voices. But the good news is that we have power. We passed the bill with bipartisan support. We got the governor to sign an executive order with a 1-year moratorium, first in the country.
Woo!
That is something to celebrate. And I know we can get this bill signed and set a standard locally that if big tech is going to come onto our turf, it should be on our terms. That our public dollars will continue to go for the public good, and that we will be the ones in the driver's seat when it comes to planning a future that works for all of us. So I want to give a big thank you to every single person who has come out here today, because you are not